Christina, it's usually $5 fee. This is an illustrative. Yeah.
All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for attending tonight's Board of Education meeting. If you could all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let the record show that all board members are present and in attendance, with the exception of Mr. Peter McCann. And at this time, I would like to turn it over to Remy for our student representative report.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Remy Ramos. I am the Student Body Representative Liaison. So we are getting into the fourth quarter and coming back from break. Everyone is preparing for their AP and IB tests, and seniors are getting really excited for their activities. So to briefly touch upon athletics, since I see that we are recognizing a couple students tonight, the boys JV lacrosse team beat Smithtown East 15-0 yesterday. The Westside Slip Junior Varsity softball team improved 8-0 with wins over Mount Sinai and Sayville. The boys varsity tennis team defeated Lindenhurst on Friday 7-0. So, to talk a little bit about club and student involvement, it's been quite the busy month for student involvement. So here's a summary of recent highlights and upcoming events. In late March, the high school performing arts department staged a successful production of Les Mis. Being able to lead and be a part of making the crew aspect of the show was honestly like an amazing time in my senior year. But seeing the dedication that the pit, costumes, and of course the actors put on was absolutely incredible. So if you saw it, props to you because it was amazing. If you're a student and you're interested in musicals, I highly suggest stepping foot in some of these practices, bills, or rehearsals if you're interested in anything at all. The high school robotics team 871 had their season competition in late March as well. For the past 15 to 20 years, the team has consistently made it into the finals, but always would place in 8th place. However, this season, that streak was broken by the team placing 5th alliance overall in a total of 48 teams on Long Island, New York, and even internationally. Despite in their final rounds, the robot Sphinx, or as the team called it, Shake and Bake, lost its shooter. The alliance that included the Westbury Cybercats and the Ronkonkoma Aftershock performed in a stellar manner, leading the pit crew, drive team, and overall team during their pre and build season. Again, was one of the highlights of my senior year, and any students interested in robotics, I highly suggest stepping into the machine shop during their preseason meetings early next school year. NISMA, the New York State School Music Association, was yesterday. Many high school, middle school, and elementary school students showed up to be judged on their playing and singing abilities. So thank you to some of our high school volunteers for making NISMA run incredibly smoothly and quickly. Some of them working from 2:30 to 9:30 at night. So thank you again for helping with that festival. The senior class is getting reared up for their activities. Senior Decision Day is coming on Friday, May 1st. So seniors, be sure to wear a shirt, sweatshirt, or lanyard representing your college, trade school, military branch, or future employer. The counseling office will be hosting a celebration during period 7 that day. The seniors are also excited for their senior barbecue, field day, prom, and especially Senior Assassin. So if any administration or anyone in general is interested in the official rules for Senior Assassin, feel free to email me with any questions. So to touch upon the academics and student well-being, AP and IB testing begins next week, and students are preparing for all their tests. So please, teachers, if your student has come to you regarding their testing schedule or any issues, be sure to support them during their testing and handing them work for days they will be missing. Students, while during this time we understand that you are taking tests, please don't forget about your other classes. If any issues arise, please don't hesitate to ask for help. The high school hopes everyone does well on their tests. Good luck, students. Now, to briefly touch on student accomplishments, the top 10 students of 2026 were spoken to, and the high school could not be more proud of how far they have come. Our top 3 students are AJ DeMayo, Vincent Maffetone, and Dana Sheed. So, big congratulations to them. During this time, many of our students are being inducted into National Honor Societies as well, and we can't wait to see the new wave of students that will show the core values of each and every one of these honor societies. Now, that's all from me. Thank you for your time and support into moving into the home stretch of the 2025-2026 school year. Noah and I look forward to sharing our updates.
Thank you, Remy. Okay, before we move into student recognition, I just want to take a moment and speak candidly about the recent article that labeled schools, and specifically Oakbrook Elementary School, as a targeted school based on the New York State exam results that was just printed in Newsday. I want to talk about this not because accountability doesn't matter, it absolutely does, but because the way this was presented and is incomplete and in many ways misleading. The term targeted school is part of a federal accountability system meant to identify specific student groups that may need additional support. It is not a label that defines the entire school, yet that's exactly how it comes across in headlines like the one we saw. What's frustrating is that a single snapshot based largely on standardized test scores, which gets elevated above everything else. It ignores student growth, relationships, mental health support, extracurricular involvement, and the daily work all of us do, including parents and especially our educators, which put the needs of every student where they need to go. It does also ignore the full picture of what schools actually do. To me, even more concerning is that schools can receive this designation based on the performance of one subgroup, not the entire student body. That detail matters, but of course, it's lost. And what's left is a label that can unfairly shape public perception, especially during budget season. Can't help but think Newsday that was strategic. We should absolutely have honest conversations about student outcomes and where we need to improve. But those conversations need to be grounded in context, accuracy, and respect for the complexity of the work. Our schools, especially the ones where I sent 4 of my daughters, who loved every moment and every second they were there, should not be defined or labeled. They are defined by the people in them, the relationships that are built, and the growth we see in our students every day. To me, that's the true story worth telling. Thank you. And on that note, I would like to turn it over to Mr. Horan, who's here to do some athletics recognition.
Good evening. This past winter was another very successful season, academically and athletically. We had 9 of our 10 varsity winter sport teams recognized by the New York State Public High School Athletic Association as scholar athlete teams, which means they had a combined average of 90 or higher, and all 10 of our varsity winter sport teams had an average of 90.5. So congratulations to our student athletes and to our coaches for a very successful season. Now, on behalf of the Board of Education and Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Paul Romanelli, it gives me great pleasure to recognize our winter varsity student athletes who have earned or been selected as all-county performers by their respective coaches associations. So what I'd like to do is call their names. And when I call your name, please come forward, stand up front, get your recognition, and you can remain standing up front until everyone's announced, and then we'll take a group photo at the end. All right, so it gives me great pleasure to recognize our winter all-county student athletes. Starting out, academic, All County, Jillian O'Fano. Courtney Rindos and Cindy Lynn. Girls varsity basketball. Congratulations. I know I just came from the field. We've got a lot of different events going on today. I've got some of our student athletes have conflicts. So congratulations. All County, varsity, girls wrestling, Isabella Giuliano. Point of interest with Isabella, she is the first female wrestler in the history of West Hudson High School for girls wrestling to be recognized as All County. So a great accomplishment. We're very proud of her. All County boys varsity winter track, Chase Miller. And Chase was a member of the first West Tyson boys winter track team to win a team county championship. Congratulations. Boys varsity swimming and diving, a team that has reset a lot of our school records and had a great deal of success on the state level. All County, Billy DeWitt, Colin Stuber, Reagan Felix, Everett Liu, and Brady Tyler. And many of our swimmers were recognized as all-state members as well. Congratulations to our board. And they were road warriors this year with no pool. And they were on the road every day and talk about embracing adversity and finding a way to be successful. They epitomize what it's all about. Varsity cheerleading, All County, Sophia Gamelch, Ava Verderosa, and Kira Foy. And academic All County, Maggie Chartrand. How about another round of applause for our winter All County student athletes. Congratulations on an incredible winter season.
Kelly, can you take our official photo?
You good?
Congratulations.
Okay. Once again, congratulations to those outstanding student athletes. We do have a discussion item on the agenda. The first one is the proposed regular meeting, planning session, and committee meeting dates for the 2026-27 school year.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Tussey. So the Board of Education has in their backup a draft calendar for the Board of Education meetings for next year and committee meetings. As you will see, the board meetings are indicated in purple, and the Board of Ed committee meetings are indicated in pink. They are on our typical Tuesdays and Thursdays with a few exceptions. One being August 10th over the summer, just is in conflict with our scope dinner that we have annually over the summer. So we moved that one to a Monday. November 2nd is also on a Monday, just because it falls right before Superintendent's Conference Day and Election Day. So we moved that one to a Monday as well. And we also have March 10th, which falls on a Wednesday, just because of the recognition of holidays on the 9th being Eid and not having an event on that evening. So other than that, we see our events fall on Tuesdays and Thursdays. April 2027, we're required on the 27th to have our Board of Education meeting on that date because of the BOCES vote. So everything else kind of lines up according to that. And then the following page
We are not voting on these by tonight. These are for the board's review. We will vote on them in a few meetings, but we wanted you to have some time to take a look at it. We have our proposed committee meetings and how they are outlined in terms of buildings and grounds, finance, education, and policy. We see a few less policy meetings in the coming year, just because we have done a kind of a bulk of the work this year. And thank you, Mr. Cameron, for his leadership there. We also have 3 budget workshops and a budget hearing, combining budget workshop number 2 and 3. And that's really all the new information there for review.
All right, so we'll take a look, we'll discuss, and I can't dive in tomorrow on next school year, so we'll see what you guys have to say. All right, moving along our agenda, Dr. Romanelli is going to present on our long-awaited long-range planning study. So I know he's very excited for this presentation, and so are we. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Tussey, and welcome everyone this evening. This presentation, this planning study, will be posted on our district website, and you'll have all the details. The board has a binder with the comprehensive study in there. It has every piece of information you could possibly want to know about how this data was determined and all the metrics behind all of this, if you're looking to dig further into it. So I'm going to start off by taking a look at 2015 to 2035. If you look to the left, you can see that from 2015 to 2020 in our district, we were down enrollment-wise. As you can see, this blue here was K through 5, middle school, and high school, and down about 635 students overall during the course of that time. Over the last 5 years, we've seen an uptick at the elementary level, and we still have seen a decline at the middle and high school level. Over the next 5 years in the district, we'll continue to see an uptick in K through 5 and start to see some of those students trickle into middle school as well, seeing an uptick there. And in 2030 to 2035, we will see a slight decrease at that point in time in our elementary level, and the increase will start to be at the middle and high school level. So we're going to take a look at New York State and the births in New York State over the past 20 years. As you can see, they've declined pretty significantly and started to kind of level off. This is the from the New York State Department of Health, and the 2024 source is the CDC. If you want to take a look at Nassau and Suffolk County births over the last 20 years, Suffolk is slightly higher, but you can see the decline there and a little bit of an uptick in recent years. As we look at births in West Islip specifically from 2010 to 2023, you can see actually right here that the last 4 years where we have data, 2020, 21, 22, and 23, all above 300 are the highest birth rates that we've seen in West Islip over this span. In terms of age structure for the US population from the year 2000 all the way projected to 2060, you can see some big changes. You can see the 65 plus age group in 2000 was at 12.4%. And in 2060, it'll be basically double that amount at 24%. So about a quarter of the country will be in the 65 plus range in 2060. You also see that we see a significant decrease in the 18 to 44 and under 18 categories as well. So we do see an aging population as we go through those different times there. We have a chart here also about US children living with native versus immigrant parents. About 74% of children living in the US were born with parents that were born in the United States, whereas 26% are living with an immigrant parent, so about 1 in 4 children across the United States. Projected racial and ethnic structure of the US population up through 2060. You can see that we have a declining, so this box down here, the 69.1% in 2000, is declining. This is our white population. You see probably the largest growth here is more than double of Hispanic population for 2060. Now, taking a look at West Islip and taking a look at our English language learners, we have 52 English language learners, as you can see on this chart right here, in total in West Islip. And some important notes here are that although we have lost about 1,000 students in terms of enrollment over the last 10 years, there is about just slightly more than double our amount of English language learners, which we've gone from just about 0.5% to 1.5%. So we have seen more than double the students that are English language learners in our district. When you take a look at our English language learners by grade level, this is the 23-24 school year data that we received from the New York State Education Department. You can see that really the heaviest concentration of our English language learners falls in that K-5 range. And our English language learners are currently housed at Oquanock Elementary School, with very few exceptions, say about 99% of our students. You can see that we have significantly less students at the middle school and high school level in our E&L department. And we do attribute that to the fact that our E&L students are meeting with success. We have excellent English language learners in our schools, and our E&L teachers are doing a great job with them, and our classroom teachers as well. We've seen a growing number of teachers taking on the TESOL certification, which is teaching English as a second language, and we've seen a lot of progress through the years there. If we take a look at this chart, this is our students with disabilities chart. Again, last 10 years, we've lost about 1,000 students in terms of enrollment, but you will see that the amount of students with special needs or students with disabilities has remained relatively flat there. This is, however, an increase in percentage, right? We have less students, but we still see the same amount of students with disabilities. So the percentage has raised from about 15% to just about 19%. Our economically disadvantaged students by year in West Islip, again, we do see that drop off of about 1,000 students. However, we see an increase in the amount of students that are classified as economically disadvantaged. We were at about 13.7% in 2014-15, and now we're at almost 20%. For our people in the audience interested in real estate, this does play a factor here as well. And we can see that it's pretty expensive to live on Long Island, right? We have Nassau County sales compared to third quarter of 2024 to 2025. We're up the number of sales during that time, and the median price jumped just in that 1 year to $830,000. You can see sales were down a little bit in Suffolk County during that time, but the median price of houses was up to $685,000. Home sales in West Islip over the last 10 years during this time, you can see that the median price from 2014, $365,000, has just about doubled to $720,000 in 2024. You see the number 361 right here in 2021. A lot of people would contribute this to COVID, right? 361 houses sold during that time. We actually have the least amount of houses sold in the past few years in West Islip, but we do see the median price is up very high. Charter school enrollment is a big factor when talking about enrollment in school districts. Not so much in West Islip. We have about 4 students who attend charter schools in the district. That does affect the district budget slightly, but there are many districts that are seeing a large uptick here. As you can see, from 2002, we're at about 500,000 and all the way up to almost 4 million at this point in time. This chart shows that over the last 5 years, in this chart, down just over 1% in public schools in terms of percentage of students attending, and we are up 0.5% in charters and up 0.5% in non-public schools. So that percent drop off that we see in publics, about half are going to charter schools, half are going to non-public schools. So let's talk a little bit about West Islip and the next 10 years. This is a big data in terms of decision making for us. In the year 2030, you can see that that's really when we're at the peak of our K-5 enrollment, and we'll be at the peak of enrollment in 2034 for middle school and 2035 for our high school. To break this down further and talk about our 4 elementary schools, this is a really important conversation, and I know that there was discussion at one point in time about shifting students from different buildings to another. We can talk a little bit about that right now. If you look at Bayview, next year we're projecting 423 students. We'll be at the peak of enrollment in Bayview in 2028, which will be just about 14 students higher than we are for the coming school year. Okay, so we may see one additional section at Bayview, but we are equipped to handle that size there. Paul J. Ballou will be at just under 500 students at Paul J. Ballou next year, and we'll be at 534 in the year 2030 at our peak, which again is another 36 students. We could see ourselves up 3 sections at Paul J. Ballou, which is already a pretty full building, so that's something certainly to consider. Manitowoc, as we have been talking about, is a large building. We're at 502 right now, and the peak is 503 in 2029, so we're pretty much at the max at Manitowoc right now. And for anyone that works there or attends there, you know that we're pretty full there. Okanock, next year we're projected at 424, and actually having the biggest jump over the next 2 years. You can see that this is an increase of about 52 students at Okanock over the course of the next 2 years, and we'd be at our peak there in 2028. So overall for K-5, we'll be at our highest in 2030, which is in just a few years, and we'll talk about some of those implications there as well. This is not class size. Okay, this is just exactly what I was talking about. Next year, it'd be at about 20 sections at Bayview, maybe need to get to 21. Again, this is important for our classroom usage and the space issues at the buildings. 26 at Paul J. Ballou, potentially up to 29. Manitowoc, we are at the top now. And Okanock, we'd be up about 3 sections potentially as well. If we look at our middle school enrollment, currently in 2025, we're under 400 students at Beach Street and about 444 at Udall. We can see that next year, our projections are roughly the same at Udall and slightly higher at Beach. And really the peak for Beach Street is 2033 to 2034 and 2034 at Udall as well. So we will see a pretty good increase in these buildings. Beach Street will be up over 100 students, about 137 students at Beach Street, and we'll be up just under 100 at Udall. Just taking a look at these data trends over time, right? Our enrollment in grades K through 12, we can see that we are here, right? 2025, 26, we're gonna be starting here next year. This is where we're kind of at our end of our leveling off period, where we are going to start to see our enrollment go up in K through 12 in these coming school years, which is good for business. Enrollment up is good for business, right? Enrollment in K through 5, we can see that we were at our lowest K through 5 early 2020 to 2022. We are here next year, and we're still going to see growth for the next 3 years at that elementary level, which will eventually level off, and then we'll see a little bit of a decline. Enrollments in grades 6 through 8. Right now, we're kind of just on the uptick in our middle schools. We'll see those continue to rise. Grades 9 through 12. At the high school, we're still not at we're kind of like just starting our leveling off dropping point here. We've seen over the past few years a number of budget cuts at the high school level due to this decreasing enrollment here, and we're starting to see that that's leveling off and will be moving up starting in about 2029, 2030. So just to summarize again, and just looking at these numbers, we can see that we were dropping across the board 2015 to 2020. We started to see an uptick in elementary over the past few years. We're going to be experiencing an uptick in elementary and middle over the next 5, and then an uptick in middle and high school right between 2030 and 2035. So what are the implications there, and what are some things that we should be discussing? We do not need to shift our 5th grade classes to the middle school, which I know is a concern of many parents. That was a big sigh of relief for us as well. And we have to take a look at some other ways in which we can, find room for our students at Paul J. Ballou and Okanock, which we're going to talk about. I do also want to add that the move that we made about moving pre-K into South Shore Children's Center, we knew that we were going to be at this moment here, and having those 2 classrooms open at each of the buildings is a big plus. Otherwise, we may be in a different situation. So I think that it was great foresight to make those moves. Some key considerations, and this is for discussion. This is not something that we have decided of anything that we're going to do. But Mr. Tussi started the meeting tonight talking about our TSI designation. This is something that's really affected us at Manitowoc and Okonock specifically. At Manitowoc, when we had our designation there for students with special needs, we had our special class program in grades 3, 4, and 5 at Manitowoc only. That was where we received our designation. At Okonock, we see our current TSI designation. Our entire E&L population is at Okonock. So there are minimum amount of students for each of those subgroups that if you don't meet the minimum requirement, it's impossible for you to be cited. If we had our students at different buildings, we would not have been receiving any of these TSI designations because we wouldn't be meeting the minimum requirement. So that's something certainly to consider. We've made a lot of those moves based on space consolidation, financial decisions, staffing, things like that. When we talk about Paul J. Blue, we're going to need 3 more rooms in that building. We have our entire 811 program at Paul J. Blue. So, if we need to find 3 more classrooms, should we consider having our 811 program K through 2 at one building, 3 through 5 at another? And there are other implications there, things like related services, things like our psychologists in the building, all those different providers. So there are additional costs there when you split programs like that into different buildings. So something really important for us to consider, but we are going to need to talk about Okonock and Paul J. Blue because we will need to find some space at those 2 buildings and look to level off with the others. It's not as easy just with Okonock to say we can have our E&L population attend at home buildings in all 4 buildings. We see most of our English language learners home schools are Manitowoc and Okonock. So that may be something to consider, a split of those 2 buildings based on homeschool for the future. If we had, and just to be honest, if we had that split now of students attending Manitowoc and Okonock, our L's, we would not have received that TSI designation because we wouldn't have met the minimum requirement of students to be there. So other considerations here, shared classroom space, traveling courses. You may have heard, it's not a popular term, but the art on a cart term, special area classes where students can receive their specials from a traveling teacher, utilizing different types of building space, music being in auditoriums. We've done things in the past where we have taken a look at Okonock at the indoor playground. It was dismantled for a year and broken into different classrooms and things like that. So in order to get those 3 additional classrooms at Paul J. Blue and Okonock, we're going to have to kind of put our heads together and make some of these decisions in the coming years. But we do have some time. We do have space in all of our elementary school buildings next year, which we feel great about based on some of the moves that we've made already. And as you can see, this is really the distribution of programs as we currently are. We have our L's over at Okonock, resource room in all of our elementary buildings, our 8s over at Paul J. Blue. We're currently split between Manitowoc and Okonock with our special class, and we have ICT. All of our students in ICT are over at Bayview for K through 5 for next year. So that's the presentation, and take any questions or comments from the board.
Anybody? There's a lot of information to take in, so I'm sure we'll have future discussion.
Yes, we can talk about it more than just right now.
All right, thank you, Dr. Rogan.
Thank you.
Okay, this is the public invitation section, and we do have one community member, Mr. Vincent Alangi, who would like to come up and speak, so I'd like to invite you up to the podium now.
Thank you very much. Good evening, members of the board and the community. Thank you for the opportunity for allowing me to speak tonight. I'm here to express something simple, but deeply meaningful to me and my family. And it's about gratitude. Beginning in the second half of his sophomore year and stretching through the junior year, my son went through a challenging time of severe depression. As a parent, there's nothing more difficult than watching your child navigate that and not always knowing how to help them out. I'm sure a lot of people have been there. What made the difference, what truly mattered, were the people in this district. Members of the administration, teachers, and coaches stepped in with empathy, patience, and genuine care. And what stood out most to me was that some of these individuals didn't even have a direct responsibility with my son. They chose to show up anyway. They chose to speak to me separately as well out of concern and support. They saw him, they supported us, and they supported him. I also want to acknowledge something important. Schools are not mental health providers. And yet, when students are struggling, they were often the first line of support. The district did what it could. It provided guidance, stability, and people who cared. It provided resources to us like ESS, Effective School Solutions. The administration and guidance worked with us to make accommodations and an alternate path for Luke, providing him with a path for success here. And that matters more than I can put into words. Going a little off script here, when you're going through this with your child, and especially in high school, you just expect kind of normalcy. You expect the adolescence and you expect problems, but when you run into something like this, it really throws you for a loop, and it kind of like as close to it is, as close as it was towards the end of his high school career. It's a curveball. At the same time, it highlights a broader reality that the state of mental health today requires continued awareness and greater investment in accessible resources beyond the classroom. That's certainly not a reflection on this school in this district at all. It's a reflection of the world our kids are growing up in. In my mind, and now with my experience, our schools are actively addressing this, setting a higher bar. Because of the people here, my son is not just finishing up his time at West Islip, he's moving forward with clarity, confidence, resilience, and a stronger sense of who he is. As his time here comes to a close this June, I felt it was important to stand here and say publicly and sincerely, thank you. Thank you to some members of the community, Tim, a lot of your staff as well. Message of gratitude and thanks. What you do matters more than you may ever realize. And from our family to the district and the community, it made all the difference in the world. And I want to thank everybody. I have a list of staff members, administration. I'm not sure if you want to allow me to read them. I would like to. I'd like to call these people out. I know that a lot of them are not here. But for the record, Mr. Andrew O'Farrell, West Islip High School principal. Mr. Brendan O'Connell, social worker at the high school. Mr. Aaron Cooley, his high school counselor. Mr. Timothy Horan, athletic director. Coach Steve Maletti, one of his biggest supporters and mentors. Mr. Anthony Uli, also a teacher and coach of his. Coach Steve Fasciani, Coach Joseph Lacova, Coach Frank Riveza, he's retired, he's very much missed. Mr. Matt Calhoun, Vin Brinsky, two coaches. Miss Dawn DiVisconti, a teacher of his. Kevin Murphy, these are teachers. Alicia Sepulveda, and I'm going to butcher the name and I apologize. Agramonte, Spanish teacher. Mr. Frank Ranzone, Miss Alessia Tocco, coach and teacher, Vincent Rivera, coach Colleen Riley, as well as a teacher. Mr. Jeremy Robertson, Mr. Vincent Illia, Christopher Salerno, coach JT Denninger, former coach of his, Scott Matera, and Miss Danielle Rifrano, teacher of his. These are a lot of coaches, and I could also speak candidly. My travels as a photographer here, I run into coaches, who were his teachers as well. I had no idea who they were. But when they asked me, is your son? And I said, yes. And they would kind of recount, or just certainly in the last year, as he came out of his severe depression, they were just glad to hear that he was on the upswing. And a lot of, everybody was behind him, offered him encouragement. A lot of the times, as he was going through this, he didn't really take to the encouragement and the help, but it was there for him. And that's greatly appreciated. And I know that in hindsight, down the line, he's going to understand this a little bit more clearly as he's an adult. But I felt it was important to stand up here and acknowledge these people and more or less the culture of the district and this community. It's really something else to see. And, people probably come to you and complain a lot about teachers and whatnot in the district. And I have much better experience with that as people are, more, in their capacity as a human being than anything else. So again, I want to just offer my gratitude and thanks.
With that being said, Mr. Alonso, I just want to thank you for having the courage to share your family story with us tonight. I think what you said is probably every parent's biggest fear. I know we all have how much emotion we invest in, not just our children, but everyone. So I thank you for sharing that, and I think we're all better for hearing that story. And obviously, wish your son Luke nothing but the best, and exciting times as his graduation is rapidly approaching. So thank you.
If I could add just one more thing. The hard saying, if you see somebody, say something. Never be afraid to approach somebody. I know that things like a taboo type of subject with mental health and what people are going through. I can tell you that as people reach out and they spoke to you, it felt good to hear that, and I truly want to pass that along to you. I certainly feel so. I still also be, emotionally strong, and I would encourage that to everybody.
For sure.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Alonji, and I do want to say, when you read that list of names, I'm sure that there's plenty of people in the auditorium that just are filled with pride, thinking about the people on that list. And, I know that I'm proud as a superintendent to share the work that the teachers, coaches, administrators are doing in the district. You mentioned the ESS program. That's really great to hear. We had them here at a board meeting a few months ago at this point, and just kind of honored the work that they're doing. I know Ms. Dowling's here tonight, did a lot of work behind the scenes with bringing that program in the district, so thank you to her as well for getting that going and for our students. So thank you, Mr. Alonji.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, can I have a motion, please, needed to approve the minutes of the March 24th, 2026 planning session? So, second. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. All right, we're going to move into personnel. Mr. Cameron?
Thank you, Mr. Tussey. I'd like to request a motion of the memorandum of agreement between the West Side Sub Teachers Association and the West Side Sub Union Free School District and employee A.
Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
I'd like to request a motion for the memorandum of agreement between West Side Sub Secretarial Employees Unit, West Side Sub Union Free School District, and employee A.
So moved.
Second. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
I'd like to request a memorandum of agreement between West Side Sub Association of School Administrators, the West Side Sub Union Free School District, and employee A.
So moved. Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
Moving on to the personnel agenda, I'd like to request a consent motion for items A1 through 2-3.
So moved.
Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
May I make a comment on that, Mr. Cameron?
Please do.
I just want to point out items A1 and T1. We have gone through some challenging budget times this year. We'll be accessing one administrative position. And a number of our administrators at the end of each year, we talk about placement in different buildings. We talk about what their plans are for the following years. We're accepting Mrs. Harvey's resignation as principal of Okonock on this agenda here, and she's going to be going back into the classroom for her final years in the district. And I know she'll be over at Bayview teaching elementary school, which we know that she'll be very successful with. And I just want to thank her for her time as the principal at Okonock and all of her time in the district. I know that, switches like this and shifts to different places do prevent job loss for other people as well. So, we wish her well in her new position, and thank you for all the great work that she did at Okonock.
Thank you, Dr. Romanelli. I'd like to request a motion for the abolishment of positions. Be it resolved that upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools effective June 30th, 2026, professional positions in West Islip Union Free School District be abolished in the art area, 1 full-time position, mathematics area, 1 full-time position, and world languages, 0.4 position. And be it further resolved that in accordance with Educational Law 3013, the following employees are hereby accessed effective June 30th, 2026 from their respective positions and placed upon a preferred eligible list of candidates for appointment to a vacancy that exists or that may thereafter occur in office or position similar to the one from which such the employee has been accessed. Ms. Megan Brady from art, Ms. Victoria Jablonski from mathematics, and Ms. April Berger from world languages.
So moved.
Second. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
I'd like to request a consent agenda for all remaining items listed under civil service CO1 through other boys lacrosse.
So moved.
Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
And with that, I'd just like to make a quick comment regarding the retirement of, sorry, Mr. Horan, we should have brought tissues for Mr. Horan and let him know, but two amazing clerical staff, part of our Teamsters Wise unit, Maureen Kolar and Pat Plopkin, who have been an integral part of the athletics department and probably were very helpful in putting together Mr. Horan's words this evening. So we accepted their retirement tonight, and Pat and Lorraine were very grateful for all the work that you've done for our student athletes and for Mr. Horan and all of us at Central Office.
Yeah, 100%. I want to echo that as well. Many years of work in the district and supporting our athletic department, and thank you to them. I also want to make a comment just on the abolishment of those positions, Mr. Cameron, if that's all right with you. We have a number of teachers that we have excessed over the past few years with some of our budget challenges. And I am happy to say that we will be calling back some of those excess teachers this year. The reason that we do have excesses, this year we did offer a teacher retirement incentive. And if you're following the budget process, we did absorb as many positions as we possibly could. We didn't have retirements in these areas, therefore that's why they are excesses. However, when we do, there is a callback list. When we do see people down the line that are eligible to come back, we do call them back. We have one person I know that was read on the list today as a point of pride that was excess last year that will be receiving a callback. So we're always looking to get good people back when we can. So I know that it is tough to see those excesses, but I know that we do have intention to make callbacks where we can.
Good. All right, let's move into our curriculum update with Mrs. Morrison.
Thank you, Mr. Tussey. Remy did a great job earlier providing updates on so many of the wonderful things going on in the district, many of which I had on my list. So I'm just going to add that we are starting up with our New York State testing in grades 3 through 8 over the coming weeks. Tomorrow, our 5th grade students will be taking the New York State science test. And on Thursday, our 8th grade students will be taking the 8th grade science test. Coming up in April, we have the 3 through 5 ELA and the 6 through 8 ELA. And in May, the 3 through 5 math and 6 through 8 math. And we are encouraging all of our students to take these exams. It helps ensure the rigor of our curriculum and gives us information in regard to different interventions that we can incorporate into our instructional practices to support our students. Mr. Antonello will share some additional updates related to curriculum and instruction during the Education Committee meeting updates. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Morrison. And speaking of those updates, let's move into our report of board committees. We'll start with Building and Grounds and Mr. Bedell.
Thank you, Mr. Tussey. Good evening, everybody. Buildings and Grounds Committee met on Thursday, April 16th. Beach Street Middle School Library. We had 3 very exciting things to talk about tonight. First of all, we have this nice video that I promised last time. This is a video of what doesn't seem like a lot of work, but an immense amount of work that's been taking place during the school day while classes are in session at the pool. In this video, you can see them taking down the exterior wall, abating any sort of asbestos and junk that's in there from years and years ago. Doesn't look like they're doing much, but this time-lapse video is set up on the outside of the school and records all day, every day. And as you can see in the video, it's going to go to an inside camera, and that records all day, every day. So we have here's the inside. They take down all the tile. They start cutting through the concrete in the pool, which is immensely thick. They actually have to bring in a saw that they use to cut concrete roads apart. They break a hole through the side of the pool wall. Because what's going to happen is that exterior wall is going to be taken out, and the pool is going to go into the parking lot. You can see they take a machine and they break through the wall. I don't know if anybody else finds this cool. I think this is really cool. You see they bring the machines through the hole in the wall. Yeah, this is great. Okay, there's the big saw. Here we go. And I was told that we're gonna have another video very soon. I'm very excited. But pretty much this is all the demolition that's been going on, which doesn't seem like a lot from the outside. No one really sees what's going on, but this is like the bulk of the work. Once that wall comes down, it's gonna be pretty smooth rolling from there on. And through this process, they've worked through some hiccups. Like I said, they're really thick concrete, which they did a lot of testing before they did the work, but nobody really anticipated how well they built the pool. And I think that shows why, when we did all this work on what we were going to do with this pool, there was all sorts of different processes and what we should do. And I said, this pool's lasted for this long, let's do the exact same thing, and it will last the same amount of time next time. So that's what we're going to do. All right, so that's the video done.
Mr. Bedell, I was also have seen a gentleman on YouTube that can dig an entire pool by himself with just a steer.
Oh, we should hire him.
Those videos, but
Right?
maybe
Tell him
we
to
can
come
bring
to
him in
us.
as well and cut down the time.
All right. So this is just a summary. They're meeting with BPS and our consultants to go over the rest of the pool every week. We have meetings with them. That's it's really going along very well. Now everybody's favorite insurance projects. I think this might be my last time having to talk about these insurance projects. Manitux's water main repair. We, if you don't remember, we had a break in the water main, and that went into the building. That flooded once, and then we had the second water main right next to it break like a month later. So both of those have been repaired better than they were. So hopefully we don't have to do that again. That's our one insurance claim. These are all very small for a school district insurance claims, not a big deal. But the high school electrical transformer debacle that we had with the power surge, that's being taken care of. A lot of this work is done over the spring break. And the district office flood and basement floor abatement. This was a big one because we were trying to abate the basement floor in district office for a long time. And it just happened to flood due to a frozen pipe during the winter. We had to fix it kind of so that they could use it for then, but then because of the insurance, we got to redo the floor and everything. And while no one was there for the holiday, we got that all taken care of, which was great. Another thing in construction projects is just there's an immense amount of work that goes on in our buildings that if you're not there on a day-to-day basis, you might not see, especially with the bizarre climate that we're living in right now. It's 70 degrees one day, and then yesterday morning you wake up and there's ice in your car. So the temps going up and down has been causing havoc in the schools with the AC and the heat. And our buildings and grounds have been working through plumbing leaks and motor pumps and heating and cooling problems for the last weeks, and they're really trying their best to keep everybody comfortable. A couple of big things happened with lighting and microphone set systems in the middle school and the high school. Updates and repairs were done with that. And then over the break, there was some repairs and fixing the sidewalks and trip hazards throughout the district, and especially at Blue. Another cool thing for anybody that has kids or anybody that's in the high school shop wing, there's 2 big compressors in the basement of that part of the school that feed air for all the tools. They were updated and put in dryers so that the air is better. And then this one, Tim will like, this is our sports fields. We're trying to get our sports fields back into order with our spring sports. We're setting up the fields, painting the fields, moving bleachers, cleaning the fields, cleaning the dugouts, all sorts of stuff. Lacrosse got a new shot clock. We had to do the wiring for that, and that was a new clock, I guess, electric clock. And then 2 just discussion items we had during the meeting was Manatuck. They have the soccer clubs use the fields out back in Manatuck. And last season they came to us and they asked if we would partner with them, if they would donate some money, and we would partner to get an AED for them for the field there. And we have done that, that's completed. And then a second thing that they asked is if we could look into sprinklers for the field so that the grass would look a little bit better. Of course, I said that we'd look into that because I like green grass. Now that the plumbing issue that was going on there with the sidewalk has been taken care of, we can finally look into the sprinklers. And the second thing is Little Leagues. The Little Leagues has asked us to look into fixing up the ball fields at the elementary schools. They're going to get a price, and they're going to see how much it would cost to fix the repairs from an outside company, and then they're going to let us know. We're going to see if maybe we could do it with our inside company or what we could do to help them out a little bit, just so their fields are a little nicer. And that was a really long one. I'm sorry, but we're all done.
Did you read my text message?
No, I'm sorry. I was really reading.
I said you went over your allotted time.
Oh, I'm sorry. He's not here, so someone had to fill it.
It's back to me, I forgot. All right, thank you, Mrs. Patel. We'll move into Safety Committee with Mrs. Kelly.
Filling in for Mr. McCann tonight. The Safety and Security Committee met on April 14th at 8:30 a.m. in the Paul Blue Cafeteria. Items that were discussed were all cameras are being cleaned and refocused across the district. Keyless lock project at the high school is complete, and they need 1 lock to be replaced and waiting for that to come in. But the system is functioning exactly how they want it to, and they are very happy with the system, how the system integrates with our lockdown system. They are keeping an eye on the e-bikes on school grounds. We're seeing more and more in the district, and with the outdoor activities in the spring and school sports, this may warrant more guards outside during some sporting events. Let's see, the annual drills are just about wrapped up in each building. The burglar alarm and fire alarms. School safety is working with the buildings and grounds to address faults as they come up. New fire alarms have been tested and are working fine. Paul Blue had a fault in the new system which has been fixed. Traffic control at Westbrook. Mr. Bossi spoke with town, DPW Traffic Safety Division. The February request, was accepted, and it was added to the list for the April Town Board meeting, which is Tuesday, April 21st, Once that is approved in the meeting within a couple of weeks, the standard 20-mile-an-hour school zone sign will be added. And then interior speakers to our PA system are being looked at and either adjusted for volume or replaced. And this was the final meeting of the year. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mrs. Kelly. And how about we stay with you for health and wellness? Want to come back to you?
No, it's okay. This is like one of my last pattern on. Hello, the Health and Wellness Committee met on Tuesday, April 14th at the Paul J. Blue Cafeteria. We went over the financial report. We spoke about the Health and Wellness Alliance scholarships, which the deadline was April 15th, so there'll be 2 award winners for the health and wellness, and then there'll be 2 award winners for the mental health subcommittee. The mental health subcommittee we just wanted to express our thanks for Ryan and his team. They presented the digital health presentation last 2 months ago, I think that was. It was very well received, and it was a really excellent presentation, and I hope that they do it again next year because it would be great for everyone to see it. The Mental Health Resource Fair is Wednesday, May 20th at the Beach Street Cafeteria. The mental health scholarships, again, will be $500 for 2 students. The 2026 community events, the Alliance supported the Glow Run, which will be on November 4th, 2026 at the high school. The Alliance considered moving to the high school track and exploring any increase in secondary participation. Spring, let's see, yes, we have all these 5Ks coming up. We have the Sound of Silence 5K, that's in Brightwaters, that's run by Erin Riley Viscaro. She is a graduate of West Islip High School, and her sister Lisa had succumbed to the evils of postpartum depression, and she created this run to help support women and families. And that will be on May 16th in Brightwaters. The YMCA has a 5K, which is on May 30th. And then the Ray Downey 5K is June 20th. Ray Downey is was a Deer Park resident, but his family lives in West Islip, and he passed on September 11th. He was a firefighter. And then the health and wellness, we just had some minor business things, but we have a tablecloth that we ordered, and then the vaping and substance will be unveiled soon, and then yes, we'll also do the Islip Goes Purple for September 2026. Thanks.
All right, thank you, Mrs. Kelly. Let's move into the Education Committee with Mr. Antonello.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Tussey. All right, the Education Committee met on April 16th, Thursday, at Beach Street Library. All administrators were present, all board members were present, with the exception of Mr. Tussey. The first item discussed was that this is the beginning of the kindergarten screening time for next year. Second item discussed was the well-attended Good Samaritan presentation that took place last week. The cooperation between Good Samaritan and West Islip to get students involved in the field. They'll be able to apply next year. The second half of next year, they'll be able to actually work on site, learning with the on-hand approach to experiences in the medical field. Third item discussed, there's still work going on in the elementary schools to help align arts and letters program to report cards. Also, Regents review classes have started. It's that time of year. The state tests, the science test began this week, followed by the ELA test next week, and math the week after that. The meeting ended at 7:35. One addition, sure. It was a short meeting. One additional thing I do want to bring up that maybe would have been better in buildings and grounds, but we'll bring it up here now. Last year, the Girl Scouts approached me about the possibility of building a Gaga court at Manatuck, and I brought it to Dr. Romanelli, and he got right on it, and along with Ms. Williams, they met with the Girl Scouts, and they built the Gaga court, and the Girl Scouts were very active in promoting it, teaching all the kids the rules and how to play, and so they put together a bunch of letters expressing their thanks to Dr. Romanelli and the board. And so I had the letters here, and I'm going to present them to Dr. Romanelli. All of them expressed thanks and how much they enjoyed Gaga, and one of them decided to parlay their experience into getting more. So, of course, I'll read that one. My name is Haley Schwartz. I am both a fifth grader at Manatuck Elementary School and a Girl Scout, Troop 1187. I enjoy having the pleasure of playing in the Gaga ball pit that was recently installed at Manatuck. This is my last year getting educated at Manatuck. It is greatly disappointing that as of right now, I will not be able to play Gaga at school next year at Udall Road Middle School. I'm sure that this is and would be the case for many of the other scholars going to the other school buildings as well, as scholars going to Udall next year and in future years. Also, I have found that even elder children have come to Manitowoc after school to play a few rounds of Gaga. My personal opinion is that you should consider and discuss installing more Gaga pits on school grounds in the West Islip School District. What I'm trying to convince you of is more than just installing more Gaga pits. It's the opportunity for all the kids, bigger, smaller, shorter, taller, older, younger, to play Gaga ball at their own school, whether at recess or after school. I think all kids, even teachers and faculty too, in the district very much deserve to be able to play, in all caps, Gaga ball. And I'm Haley Schwartz.
I don't know, maybe Mr. Moran, we might have a curriculum addition to the PE curriculum?
Put it in.
I mean, how could we not consider that? Thank you for sharing that.
All right, Ms. Antonello, thank you. Well, let's move into finance with Mrs. Marks.
Now we get to do finance. I don't have a slideshow, I don't have a funny letter, I have to read all this boring stuff, but we're gonna do it. Okay, the finance committee met on April 16th. Committee members present were Quinn Bedell, Grace Kelly, and myself. Board members in attendance are Richard Antonello, Debbie Brown, and Peter McCann. Administrators present are Dr. Romanelli, Mrs. Pilati, Ms. Morrison, and Mr. Cameron. Purpose of the meeting was to discuss pertinent fiscal matters. Meeting was called to order at 7:15 p.m. The following were presented and accepted by the committee. The treasurer's report, school district funds for February, extracurricular funds for February, payroll summary for February, financial statements for February, internal claims audit report for March, system manager audit trail for March, payroll certifications for the weeks of March 18th and March 31st, review of warrants, and a review of board agenda finance items to include the following: approval of budget transfers, 4595 through 4602 general fund and 4594 capital fund. The approval of the 2025-2026 contract for Deer Park UFSD Special Education Services contract. Approval of surplus memo. It was related to IT, miscellaneous items, including PCs, keyboards, drives, switches, Cisco phones, etc. And the approval of a resolution. It was a donation from Royal Products, Current Manufacturing, for AccuLength Collet Chuck manual installation tool and 1-inch and 1.5-inch and 14-millimeter colettes valued at $8,000. These items were donated to support the high school engineering technology students of West Islip High School. And if I can, that was it for the financial committee report. It was a quick meeting. It ended at 7:20 p.m. And since that ended on the high school engineering tech students, I just wanted to mention something to Remy's point. I did get a chance to attend the robotics competition. It was amazing. The students did so great. I just wanted to point out the only staff that we have that volunteers with the robotics team is Mr. Barney. He is a physics teacher at the high school. Everyone else is an outside volunteer. And if everyone could just try to share with their students or share with your friends. I think when people think about robotics, my son did robotics, they're just thinking it's working on this robot and it's kind of a one thing. It's not. Robotics involves so many different facets and opportunities for students. It not only looks great on your resume, there are so many opportunities for scholarships. There is opportunity to learn electric work, mechanical work, computer programming. They have a business office where they do fundraising and advertising. So you don't have to just be working on building this robot. There are just so many aspects of it that can appeal to everyone. I think one of the kids is getting a gaming job who has gone through the program in like a really great gaming company. So I just wanted to shout out to that program. I know they're losing a lot of seniors and they did not pick up a lot of freshmen this year. So it's just a great program and it really has so many opportunities for students across all interest types. So, and also if you know any teachers that might want to get involved in that, I know they definitely are looking for help. So just wanted to throw that out there. Thank you.
right, thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Marks. We'll stay with special ed. And Mrs. Lawrence.
Hi, me again. Special Education Committee met this morning, April 21st, at District Office. The following committee members were present: Dr. Romanelli, Ms. Morrison, Ms. Dowling, and Ms. Ednick. Myself and Mrs. Brown participated via teleconference. The meeting began at 9 a.m. and commenced at approximately 9:30 a.m. The committee discussed IEPs from CSE and CPSE and recommendations from the respective committees. Ms. Dowling reported that annual reviews are in full swing, and we're looking forward to the start of unified basketball season. The first home game is against Deer Park on Tuesday, April 28th, 4:30, right here at the high school. If you've never been to a unified basketball game, it is probably one of the best things in the district. I highly encourage you to stop by. Kids are welcome. We also met with the president of SEPTA, Mara D'Amico. They're having SEPTA Bowl this weekend, which is their biggest fundraiser. There are still tickets available. You can just show up if you want to come and bowl. They have over 80 baskets. It's $45, which includes all of your bowling and shoes for the night and includes refreshments as well. They are also bringing back special needs yoga. The first meeting is going to be Wednesday at the library, and there are no signups. You can just come. If you want to bring a towel, you can. You don't have to. I think mats will be provided. And they also introduced a sensory program that was very successful. It's for elementary students right now, but next year they're going to work on prioritizing sensory events because there's a lot of desire for people to participate in that, and they're also considering bringing it for middle school students. The next meeting is April 29th at 7:30 at the Beach Library. Thank you.
Great, thank you, everybody, for those detailed reports. Let's move into business items with Ms. Bellani.
Thank you, Mr. Tussey. May I have a motion for approval of budget transfers 4595 through 4602 in the general fund and 4594 in the capital fund?
So moved.
Second. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
May I have a motion for approval of the Deer Park School District Special Education Contract for the 2025-26 school year?
So moved.
Second. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
We have a motion for approval of the donation from Royal Products Kern Manufacturing LLC to the High School Engineering Technology Department for the products listed on the agenda.
So moved.
Second. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
May I have a motion for the approval of the miscellaneous IT surplus equipment?
So moved.
Second. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Can I have a motion of approval, please, for the resolution of the East and Suffolk Borough Season 2026-27 administrative budget and trustee election?
So moved.
Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Can I have a motion of approval, please, for the resolution of the adoption of the 2026-27 school district budget in the amount of $144,810,058 and the 2026-27 property tax report card?
So moved.
Second. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Can I have a motion of approval, please, for the personnel for May 19, 2026 annual budget vote and election?
So moved.
Second. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Can I have a motion of approval of the Cullen Danowski LLP internal audit engagement letter regarding special education?
So moved.
Second. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Can I have a motion of approval of the resolution that the Board of Education approves the recommendations of the Special Education Committee of students as listed in the district's backup and authorizes the district to arrange for appropriate services?
So moved.
Second. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. All right, Dr. Romano?
Thank you, Mr. Tussey. Just two items to share. Number one, I was extremely proud of our high school science research students. I was able to stop by the Long Island Science competition at the Cradle of Aviation today and saw a number of different projects. It was everything from trying to eliminate Parkinson's and Alzheimer's in fruit flies to rayon levels coming from different bedrock areas. I know that one student, I saw his, listened to his full presentation. It was amazing. It was about rayon coming from bedrock in different levels of buildings. So he was in our high school basement, first floor and second floor. I'm happy to report that everything was safe based on his digital readings. And it was funny at the finale of the presentation, he said, I just did this so I could get in the high school basement. I've always wanted to go down there. And I said, that was a great move. That's actually the first thing I asked when I became superintendent. How do I get to the basement? So, was appreciative of that. And then also our Business AI Day that we had on Friday was excellent up at the high school. We had 3 businesses come in. We had ECNY, Hidden Rhythms, and we also had Clear Vision Optical. Students actually learned about the 3 different companies, researched the companies and all that they had going on, checked out their websites. They met with the business owners who came to the high school to speak with them. We also had a tutorial from Ms. Kim Crouch, who's one of our technology coaches in the district. She taught the students how to use different prompting with AI and different tools. They were given the ability to use Notebook LM, to use Google Gemini, and to use the AI feature on Canva. And they were able to take about an hour to discuss in their groups and create presentations for the businesses to pitch solutions for them. One business was looking to improve productivity, another was looking to switch up their business model, and another one was looking to attract a new demographic. And the presentations were unbelievable. I know that a number of the businesses left and said, I've got to get back to the office right now. I can't wait to try this out. And really, we're very, very excited about that. And we have been invited on May 12th. We're going to be showcased as a district at a innovation using artificial intelligence conference on Long Island in Suffolk County. And we're going to actually have a couple of our students on the student panel there as well. So we're really excited about that. It is during the day. Yep, May 12th. It's a conference. We'll send you the info.
Okay, we do have one community member who would like to speak, so the invitation to public, I'm going to invite Ms. Diane Tito to the board.
Many of you remember this from last year? I'm so pleased that I was here to hear your report on long-range planning, because that answered a lot of the questions I was going to ask. One thing that it didn't address was, if Hochul gets elected governor, she's proposing universal UK for all the students.
That's in this budget. She's proposing that.
Yeah, so the budget is supposed to have been approved as of April 1st, but it's still April 21st today, and we haven't seen the approval. But in that budget, it does include, an increase in funding for pre-K to $10,000 a student, up from $5,400. And there is, you're absolutely right, in 2028 school year, that districts will be required to accommodate all students. That's actually our intention for next school year and beyond. That we will, if this does come to fruition, and we do see the approval that the budget becomes adopted with this in it, that we would look to start that as early as next year. And we have been working to renegotiate our leases, especially with South Shore Children's Center, to make sure that we have enough space to grow. And we actually use this enrollment study to determine how many rooms we may need. And I can tell you that we're going to have room for our pre-K students for the duration of that study. And if the funding comes through, we'll have the grant funding to pay for it.
Do you mean this year, starting in September?
Correct.
Oh, great. That's
Yeah.
great. I have no one going in, but it's great.
Yeah, we are excited about it as well.
My other question is, you mentioned for Baloo, when the population increases, breaking it down into 2 buildings.
Oh, let me clarify that. Yeah, so I was referring to one of the special education programs that we have in the building. Currently, we have about 6 sections currently in the building, and would it be something we would consider to maybe have 3 sections? It doesn't work this cleanly because sometimes there's multi-grades and sometimes the population is a little bit in all areas. But my point is, would we look to split that program maybe half in one building, half in another, in order to free up some classroom space? So the building itself will stay exactly as is. It might just be a program that we may have to reconsider.
Okay, and that's only for special ed?
that's one piece, we looked at the special area classes, maybe we can have some traveling special area classes, like music and art and things like that.
But children that are in Baloo right now from.
They're gonna stay there, they're gonna be there, they're not gonna be disrupted at all,
All right,
yes.
great. That's all I had to say.
We're not moving anybody out, it'd be more for like future years if we need the space.
Yeah.
So,
Great. Well, I hope the budget gets passed.
thank you so much.
Make sure you come out and vote. All right, well, thank you so much. All right, that's the only card we have, so I'm going to ask for a motion, please, to adjourn to exec session so the board can discuss personnel, negotiations, and litigation.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Good night, everybody. Thank you for attending tonight's meeting. Great job.